Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. I'm Sara Jane. This is Thoughtful Nuggets and Pearls on Gift of Healing TV, and I am delighted to be joined by David McLeod. Those of you that have joined us before will have met David before. Earlier this year, we did a four-part series, didn't we, on life mastery, which was fascinating. It was great fun. And David is joining me this evening for our topic of obstacle or opportunity. Now, if you've seen the little write-up I put on the website, you've seen some of the quotes I put up there. But I'm actually going to start with a different one. I like finding my little quotes about the things I'm talking about. They're great fun. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. And do you know what? I look at these and I think there is so much truth in them. Hi, Leslie from Spain. Lovely that you've joined us. David, what are your thoughts on in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity?
Oh, that sounds actually like a definition of crisis. The word crisis actually means where there's in the middle of all chaos that happens in a crisis situation, there's all kinds of little pearls of opportunity, little gems of opportunity, things where we can learn more about ourselves, where we can expand ourselves in some way that may not have been obvious before. And while the difficulty or the chaos may not be that comfortable or pleasant, that's when our true essence starts to shine through. So I totally agree with that, and I resonate with it completely.
Oh, so do I. And I think we've only got to look at our own lives when things feel as if they're absolutely falling apart. But when you can look back with hindsight and you realize the huge difference, the change that has happened in your life, and how much better your life is. You know, you and I have sort of met and heard a lot of people talk about their life experiences. You know, the sharers, the carers of the world that, you know, Neil Donald Walsh's of this world, listening to Kyle Cease and Bo Eason when we were at the Messenger Summit, listening to all of them, their stories. You listen to all of these people, and when you listen to their story, something drastic has happened. It has been a health issue. They've lost everything. There's been something that has it felt like their life was falling to pieces. But in the midst of that came, they developed their strengths. They almost found a peace. And then were able to come out of that like the phoenix rising with the flames.
Yeah, and it sounds easy when you describe it that way. You know, just wait for it. The flames will come and then I'll be a phoenix, you know, piece of cake. Sadly, it doesn't quite work that way. No. You know, in my own life, my situation happened. It started actually when I was 3 years old. And my mother said those magic 8 words to me that just flipped me upside down. And I'm sure she had no idea what she was saying at the time, but it landed on me in a way that caused me over the next 40 years to be deferring myself and putting myself aside and looking for other people to tell me who I was, what I wanted and needed, and how I should show up in the world. And in the process, over that 40 years, I started to become more and more resentful and angry. And that was creating chaos in my life. And eventually it reached a point where I knew that if I didn't do something, I was going to really hurt somebody. And so I had to go into what I would call that deep descent. That whole period of time was a slow descent, but then it just suddenly went into a deep descent because I made the decision to leave my family, my kids, to just escape, to try and get away from this, little knowing that what I was actually doing was diving deep into the pit of despair so that I could really look inside and start to uncover what it was that was wrong with me. Now, it still took me about another 10 years or so from that point to figure out that all of this had started back when I was 3 years old. And my mom, in her innocence and in her way of wanting to be in control, just simply said to me, listen, you're supposed to pay attention to me. You're supposed to listen to me. I'm your mom. And I wouldn't listen to that. I was all upset and I was playing and I was just being a rebel like I typically am. And she finally just kind of grabbed me, stood me up on the changing table and said, look, I know you better than you know yourself. And that was a thing that kind of hit me. 8 words. Well, as you can see, I obviously don't believe that's true. I don't think anybody knows me better than I know myself. But at the time, when I was 3 years old, it just seemed like a logical statement coming from a very powerful woman who, for all intents and purposes, was actually a god in my life. And so I bought into the belief system, and that's where the thing started. And so it created all kinds of problems in my life that I didn't even understand where they came from. Yeah. Until I reached that pit of despair and I started doing the growth work that got me out of those belief systems, helped me to deconstruct them, helped me to unload all the anger and resentment so that I could start to see myself for who I really was and start to see everybody else as a result. So it was a long process, but I described that whole thing, a 40-year, 50-year journey in what, 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
Yeah.
And so it seems easy when you look at it from that compressed time frame. But that's what happened for me. And I know you've had a similar story. You've had similar stories.
I actually get it. It was an injury when I was a very young child. And my story's up there, folks. You can go and check it out. But it was an injury before I was a year old that hospitalized me for 3 months at a time parents couldn't stay with their children, which felt just like I wasn't wanted. Mm-hmm. And words are there. I'm sure I've shared this, but I actually had a nickname when I was a child. I was Pickle Puss. Bless my parents, Pickle Puss. But the word pickle can be used as a description as well, not just for pickling fruit and veg. Mm-hmm. You know, that is picklish, which basically means is naughty. So I was called Pickle Puss. And then, of course, when you start being that little bit naughty, initially your parents laugh. And everybody laughs because the first time it's funny. And maybe I heard those words, you are being picklish, but with laughter. And it's just like, oh, I'm being myself. I'm not saying this happened, but I can really get the sense with a child that is what happened, especially with that nickname. Mm-hmm. And then you do it again because everybody's laughed and the laughter goes. And then suddenly, don't be so picklish. You are being a pickle. Well, because of the nickname and then now the anger. And now I feel I'm being told it is not okay to be me. So in another way, exactly the same as you were told, you know, and I would say to people, one word can be traumatic to a child. You had 8. I had a physical trauma, and I'd say I had verbal trauma as well. Our parents did not mean to harm us. I genuinely believe that. They had no idea what they were doing. My wake up came with a broken jaw and 6 months of pain and sleepless nights and really not being able to continue with being a people pleaser. I hadn't got the energy for it. Running a home, doing a full-time job, trying to do an accountancy course and being a people pleaser all at the same time. Wasn't happening. Something had to give. And actually, it was, amongst other things, it was actually the marriage that gave.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, actually, I'm stepping into my power, into what's right for me. And yes, again, it makes it sound very easy, but 6 months of pain and sleepless nights and easy. And then you've still got all the process of trying to sort out what's been going on.
Right.
But what might be classed as an obstacle in the way of a broken jaw or diving into a deep depression actually became a really huge opportunity for us to find out more about ourselves and to say, actually, I'm taking control of my life. I'm going to find out who I am. Because just like you, I had no idea. And so what may appear an obstacle can be a massive opportunity to totally change your life around and to do something new with it. We don't need something as drastic as all of that. But sometimes it's almost as if we create it for ourselves. This is sort of goes back to the conversation we were having before we started. But for some reason, it's time now, and I get it. To me, I wouldn't change anything that has happened to me because I wouldn't be here with you right now, hopefully sharing what will help some people think, okay, so this is what's happening in my life, but you know what? I can get through it. I'm nothing special that I managed to get through it, but I'm everything special because I genuinely believe everybody is special and no one's more or less special than anybody else. But I've had the courage to step into my power and to actually say, actually, now I've helped myself on my journey. The obstacles that were created in my life I've managed to turn them into opportunities. And you the same, and so many people the same. We turn our journeys into a way of helping and supporting others.
Yeah. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that. I think that as I was listening to you and I was trying to get a trajectory, if you like, of my own life, I realized I probably did set that up. I probably set it up before I was born. I probably had some kind of a spiritual council, a spiritual team, if you like, and I'd made this commitment. This is what I want to experience in my life. I want to experience knowing how important it is to know who I am. That's what I want to experience. That's my life journey. And what a great way to do it. Start out early stage in life being told right off the bat that I have no clue who I am. And then going through and trying to live according to that principle, discovering how wrong that was and all the chaos that created, so that as I went through my deep, dark depression and then started coming out the other side, I began to connect to who I really am. So much so that I now see that is the only thing in this world that is important. And that's my message to people. And many people say, well, I know who I am. I said, okay, I hear that you believe you know who you are. But I bet in 5 minutes I could show you that you don't know as much as you think as you know. Because what I have learned for myself is I am not who I think I am. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my name. I'm not the roles I play. I'm not the feelings that I have. I am the creator of those things. I am the practicer of my roles. I am the one who steps into those roles in order to experience certain aspects of myself. But that's not who I am. And what I've learned now is who I am is a divine, magnificent, spiritual, unlimited being of light and love. And I happen to be sharing this physical human experience with all kinds of other amazing divine beings. Yeah. And that's really what I am, who I am, and who everybody is, although many people don't see it. They don't resonate with that message. They still identify with their thoughts and with their roles, and oh, I'm a doctor, or I am a mother, or I am a writer or a speaker. And certainly I can resonate with some of those labels, but that's not who I am. Those are just things I do because of who I am.
Yeah. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. Mm-hmm. Which gives, and it is about experience. And that's, you said about, I created it. From the outset, I believe I came down and I agreed to that injury. Spending X years being so darned insecure, and certainly wouldn't have had the confidence to be doing this type of thing. That's for sure. And then it was just like, okay, the wake-up call had to come, because it became time to move forward into why I was really here. But I had to have the experiences and the journey to then be able to do what I do and to help people the way I help them. And that's what's so wonderful, is there are so many of us that are here to help at this time. And I get the tough part is finding the right person for you, the right person that is there to support you. But if you help yourself to get out there, to go and look for it and just ask for it to be bought for you, and be open to it coming in whatever form it comes. Because it may be something that, they say, it may be something that's on a billboard. You walk past somebody, you hear a part of a conversation, and I sort of remember at the second Messenger Summit listening to, was it Nana Kasha? And she said something about, why would you been given this path and not have it funded? The universe just wouldn't do that to you. And I can't remember what her exact words were. And it was just like, oh my God. And I went up to her afterwards. I said, thank you so much for that. Mm-hmm. I said, that was brilliant. Don't ever leave that out. So she said, you're going to join my whatever it was. I said, no, I'm not, because you've given me everything I need. Thank you. But at least I went up and said, thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, we've been talking about the difficult journeys that we both had. And you might think of that as there was an obstacle that was put in the way at the beginning. In my case, it was those 8 words that my mom said, and the impact that it had on me. Now, of course, I didn't know it was an obstacle at the time. It was just something that happened. But it created all kinds of other things because of the way I thought and the things I believed and so forth, that led me into a life path that externally looked very dysfunctional. And yet, the dysfunction turned out to be something that was vitally important in order for me to have the kind of understanding that I needed to have. So, where was the obstacle, really? Where was the obstacle? Nowadays, people think of obstacles more as, I want to buy a house, but I don't have the money. Or I want to get a job, but they tell me I don't have enough education. Or, various other things that seem to get in the way of something that we want. Until we want it, it isn't an obstacle. The moment we want it, then the obstacle seems real. It's right there in front of us. And so now we have some choices. All right. First of all, is it a real obstacle? Is it something that is absolutely going to stop me from getting what I want? I mean, if it's a big giant wall, well, it's pretty hard to get through a wall. You might have to go around it or climb over it or dig underneath it or find some other way, or maybe go back the other way for a while and find a new path. These are the kinds of things that happen. So first of all, is it a real obstacle? And if the answer is yes, then you got to decide, is this obstacle something that I can pick up and move out of the way? Is this obstacle something I can go around? Is this obstacle something I can go over or underneath? You know, there's going to be answers to all of those questions. Once you have the picture of the obstacle, is this an obstacle that I can just smash through? That might be a way to go. Yeah, or push over. You know, think about it. There's all kinds of ways of getting rid of an obstacle. You know, and you might want to even get out the dynamite and blow the damn thing up. Of course, whatever you choose to do with this obstacle, bear in mind that there may be side effects. So you want to remember to take responsibility for all those side effects. So think about what you might be creating when you find your way through this obstacle. So I guess the first thing is, what do I want? What's in the way? Do I want this thing bad enough to get around that thing that's in the way or find a way through it? Do I need help? Is there some person I can contact who can help me find a way through this obstacle? These are the things that we can do once we become aware of the obstacle in the first place. But until then we're going to be bumbling around in our lives, bumping into things and not even knowing that we're playing like a random walk through life.
Absolutely. And okay, you've gone for that job interview. Yeah, let's bring this back a level. You've gone for that job interview. It was a job you really thought you wanted and you didn't get it. And it's just like, but that's a real obstacle to my future. Had it not occurred to us that sometimes these things are put in our path, it's an experience, and actually there's something way, way better for us. And all that obstacle is doing is redirecting us into the direction we should be going. Mm-hmm. And so when you sort of say, you know, sort of there are absolutely, if you try blasting it, if somebody's turned around and said no, that's their answer. You're not going to change that. But what you can do is you can take the experience of that interview. You can by all means ask the question, can I have some feedback? And then you can take it and you can use it as a stepping stone. Put it in front of you rather than putting it in your rucksack and carrying it around with you. Because so many of us are carrying these obstacles around with us. That is why we keep seeing more obstacles rather than opportunities. And so life chucks things at us. I really do believe it does, but it's chucking it at us because we're inviting it. And it is so true. What you concentrate on, what you give the most energy to, is what you are going to get more of.
And that's really true, Sarah. And also, I think people have to understand that what you focus your energy on, whether it's conscious or not, is really important. Because very often I can be saying consciously, I want to manifest this beautiful house in my life. But down deep underneath in my subconscious, I have a belief that says, I'm not worthy of a house like that. I have to live in a hovel because to have money is bad or whatever. All these beliefs that are hidden underneath in our subconscious, that's where we're focusing our energy, even though we think we might be focusing it at a higher level. So if you find that you really believe that you're looking for X, but Y keeps showing up, you might want to dig down underneath and figure out what it is about Y that you're attracting into your life. Yeah. Very, very important.
Oh, absolutely. And so these things happening aren't obstacles. They're opportunities for us to look at things and say, okay, so why is this happening? What is going on? And I did a program just recently on the words I want, because to me, when you use I want, you're left with the wanting. I need leaves you with the needing. And it was really funny because the conversation Jackie and I were having about it, and there's somebody that I love listening to what she does. I really do. Got a huge amount of respect for her. But she uses the term, what do you want? She uses want so much. And Jackie said, well, maybe for her it doesn't mean the same thing. And then the next thing of hers I listened to, she turned around and said, and of course you've got to be really careful with that word want. And she didn't say I want leaves you with the wanting, but that's technically what she was saying. And I was thinking, are you listening to how you phrase things? And what you've just been saying is telling people not to use the phraseology you've been using. And I found it hilarious.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. And I think that, you're absolutely right. I agree with you. If I focus on the want, initially I may have a desire that shows up and say, wow, I think I want some ice cream. Now in that level of energy, it's still just a desire. It's not really going into the wanting energy yet. What happens though is we get focused on what we want and we realize we don't have it. So we're creating emptiness, we're creating lack by continuing to focus on the want, rather than going into inspired action about how to create what it is we desire. Yeah. So I prefer to use the word desire rather than want for that very reason. Yeah. And I agree with you on need. What happens is I think I need it, which implies that if I don't have it, then I'm going to die. Something is going to happen to me. Really, that's what it means. And so if the truth is, if we eliminate things like the physical needs, there is absolutely nothing I need spiritually. Nothing. Yeah. The air and the water I don't even need from a spiritual perspective. I do need them in order to survive in this physical form. However, I don't need them in a spiritual form. And in reality, I am, as you have said, a spiritual being inhabiting and occupying this physical space and having a physical experience. So once I leave here, the needs will all disappear. Yeah. And what happens is needs become so strong sometime in people that they turn into addictions. Yeah. And that's when we really start having problems. Not only do I need it, but if I don't have it, I'm going to start doing some stuff to hurt people in order to get it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then that's an absolute addiction, isn't it? Yeah. So depending on our terminology and our thought process, we are creating our obstacles, or we are turning everything that happens into an opportunity. It is our choice how we choose to view things. And we do have complete free will. We have the free will to look at our lives and say, yeah, great. Or, I want that. I want that. I need that. Why haven't I got that? Why has he got that? You can do that with your life, or you can say, you know what? I am so blessed with what I have. I would choose to have a little more, but do you know what? I am really, really grateful. It's going into that gratitude, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I am so grateful for what I have, and I have all that, I'm going to use the word, all that I need. I have a roof over my head. I have food on my table. I have clothes on my back. And a huge percentage of our planet can say they have that. There are an awful lot of people that don't have that. And I think, I don't know about you, but sometimes you see these little videos on sort of social media, etc. These children that really don't have a lot, but they're happy. You're almost going back to me as a kid. We never had loads as a kid because mum and dad didn't have the money. There were priorities of clothes and food and the house and our schooling. They were the priorities. But we would go out and have fun. We would play with our friends outdoors when it wasn't wet. And we were able to make our own entertainment. And we got plenty of fresh air, sunshine. We didn't need the stuff that the kids of today are being told by the television adverts that they need.
Right.
So if we let advertising, if you like, can be an obstacle or an opportunity. We can learn to turn it off or leave it on. It's the same as news to me. You can turn it off or leave it on.
Absolutely. And you're talking about the power of choice. We all have choice. In fact, every moment is just a new choice point.
Yeah.
What's available to us when we have a choice is different options. I can choose option A, B, C, D, or maybe there's an E, F, G, or H out there as well. But they're all there. And I have the power to choose according to what feels right for me in that moment. And here's something that I've learned. And I tell this to my coaching clients all the time. People are worried about, continuing, moving forward with their lives or whatever. And I just get them to stop for a moment. And I say, okay, have you ever had a problem in your life? Of course they have. Who hasn't had a problem? And did you find a way through it? Of course you did. You wouldn't be here if you hadn't. So if you look at it from that perspective, you can say, I have a perfect record. Every obstacle that's ever shown up in my life, ever, in the entire duration, since the moment I was born till now, I've managed to find my way around it, over it, through it, or under it.
Yeah.
I've managed to find my way. And here I am. So why on earth would I expect that the next obstacle that shows up, I won't be able to do? It's crazy thinking. I have a perfect record so far.
You're still here.
I'm still here. And I'm still, and actually, this is a really important thing. Now that I know who I am, I don't think I could be happier.
Exactly.
While I was busy trying to fulfill the demands of everybody else, I was miserable.
Yep.
But now I don't care. I mean, I do care. Don't get me wrong. Yep. I care what people think, but it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me so much that I'm going to change my way of life in order to change your way of thinking. That's just simply not going to happen.
Yeah. To me, I care very much about people. But there are times when I may get that things I may say may sound as if I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that tough love thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, that is not for me. I'm not doing it. And I've gone into this years of learning to hear no and say no and all the rest of it. It's so important. It's another aspect of it. No isn't an obstacle. No is just another opportunity. N-O, new opportunity, next opportunity. When I first saw that, it was just like, that's brilliant. No is not an obstacle.
I like that. That's another bumper sticker for Sara Jane.
It was up on one of the social medias one day, and it was just like, N-O, new opportunity or next opportunity or whatever. And it was just like, so I don't know where it came from. I don't know who said it, but whoever did, brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's like the Neil Donald Walsh saying, life begins at the end of your comfort zone, or whoever said it, but it's something certainly I've got from him. And it's when everything appears to be falling apart, perhaps it is falling together.
Right. Yep.
And so with each one of those, you may perceive them as being an obstacle. But if you listen to the whole thing, it's all about opportunity.
Right.
And we have the choice as to how we see what is going on in our life. When my computer crashed during the summer months, it was just like, I've just got to get on with it. It's a great opportunity to take a break.
Yeah, and you know what? You're going to have the reaction you have when stuff like that happens. We still have these ego minds. We still have our human emotions. We still have all that stuff. It's okay. Don't get on yourself just because you maybe didn't react in the enlightened way that you would like to react. This is important for all of us to know. Self-compassion and self-forgiveness are vital and important keys to remember.
Yeah.
So you're going to misbehave. You're going to do bad things from time to time. When you do, just love yourself. I love you. You made a mistake. Big deal. Now, what can you learn from that mistake, and how can you react going forward? That's the key.
Yeah. And I just see mistakes as being a stepping stone as well.
Yeah. Mistakes are just another form of obstacle.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like, no, I am totally with myself. I am allowed to have my human moments. I'm here to have the human experience.
Right.
So if I totally live in spiritual experience, how am I going to be able to relate with what other people are going through and be able to support them and help them? I can't, because I can't be in that place of empathy, of understanding. And so, yes, I have my down times. I have my get cross about things times. I have my soapbox bits. We all do. And they aren't obstacles. They are opportunities. They are experiences that support us on a day-to-day basis to live our lives, to have the experiences we're here to have, to follow the journey we are here to take. And I see life as a roller coaster, and I'm in that front seat and I'm living it, because that's what it's about. And a roller coaster has its ups and its downs, and it's fun. Life is great. Don't get me wrong. There are times I'm thinking, it's great. And when I can come out the other side, it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. I was very lucky. It was for maximum 3 days. I had that deep, dark depression, but it was only for 3 days. And I was able to pull myself straight back out of it again. But, folks, the things that happen in your life, you can get through them. And there is actually one of those sayings out there, isn't it? It's about, if you're going through hell, keep going.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. Keep going. Yeah, there's not much point in going back.
And no, don't try taking any turnings off. You could find yourself in there a lot longer. Yeah. Just keep going.
Yeah, I think that as you were talking about this, every obstacle is in turn an opportunity. At the very least, every obstacle is an opportunity for expressing and experiencing yourself fully, knowing who you really are. And that's ultimately what we're all here to do, is to know who we really are, and to bring that truth back with us when we move on to the spiritual realm after completing our physical journey here.
Yeah. And we'll choose to do it again and again and again.
Until we don't anymore.
Exactly. Absolutely. Any final, actually, folks, I do want to share, David is starting Life Mastery TV up again, which I'm really looking forward to. And as far as I'm aware at the moment, I'm one of the guests in the first program. You've got multiple guests on the first program. So David, do you want to just share a little bit about Life Mastery TV and what you're hoping to be sharing? Because it's another opportunity for everybody.
Well, I was doing Life Mastery TV for the better part of 2014, all of 2015, and then a good portion of 2016. 2.5 years, about 110, 112 episodes. And I really loved doing that. And my partner, Tommy Stoffel, he decided to move on and seek other things. And I decided to take some time and work on my book and various other things that I've been doing. But now I am ready to start that program up again. And it will be a little bit different than before. I'll be having guests. I'm going to start off twice a month. I'm going to have guests, and we'll be talking about all kinds of different topics related to the overall idea of life mastery. And each live presentation will probably last between 30 to 45 minutes, and we're gonna dive deep into a whole bunch of different topics. My hope is that in addition to that, I'm also going to be offering regular blog posts from myself and other people who are interested in sharing their written material. And over time, we're going to get a vast library of all kinds of great stuff that can help people to grow and have better lives. And that's really what I'm all about, is helping people to learn to master their lives.
So this should be starting at the beginning of November.
Correct. Our first show will be on Wednesday. I think it's November the 7th. It's the first Wednesday and the third Wednesday alternate. That's the way I'm going to be doing it, starting in November. So we'll see how it goes. And I'm looking forward to having you on, and a few other people, and lots of other people, actually. And I hope to see your folks come and watch the show.
No, well, I will happily share it on Gift of Healing TV, so sort of on the website. So just let me have the information. So, folks, David, thank you so much for joining us, for your sharing with us, because I had no idea where the conversation was going tonight. I don't know what I expected, but I don't think it was that. But it was brilliant, and it was, and I hope that those of you that have watched live, and those of you that obviously you're watching the recording, that it's helped you in some way. Even if you don't agree with this, it's helped you to, find your own thinking. And that's what's so important, isn't it? It's find what feels right for you. You haven't got to believe us. You haven't got to say, oh, they've got to know, because everybody feels slightly differently about things. Absolutely. And so it's finding what feels right for you and go with that. So thank you for joining us. Next week, the topic is whose responsibility? So I hope you will join me for that. In the meantime, have a great week, folks. David, thank you so much, and I'm sure I will see you again shortly. Thank you, folks. It's been an absolute pleasure. Namaste.